A lot of things happened on Tuesday regarding Oklahoma. Senior Bowl stuff. Jim Knowles spoke. So many different things to discuss. We'll just touch on it coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, let's start with Billy Bowman. He had a great day at the Senior Bowl. When you watch these individual drills come across your social media feed, I want you to understand how difficult it is on defensive backs. Anytime that they're in a one-on-one drill, they are set up to fail.
Yeah.
The one-on-one passing drill is set up for the quarterback and the wide receiver to win those. And Billy Bowman had a fantastic day in coverage, winning a number of his one-on-one drills at the Senior Bowl.
If you know me, I always say the hardest position to play in the football field is defensive back. Don't care what anybody says. I think that's the number one toughest one because you're not only like offensive linemen who are always going backwards, but you're guessing somebody really, really fast in front of you, what they're going to do. Are they going to block you for a run? Are they going to go in? They're going to go out? They're going to run past you? They're going to stop? You're always in a guessing game. Plus, you got to watch the quarterback to make sure they don't run. There's so many variables that come in there that makes it tough for you because, like you said, you're always at a disadvantage. Whereas with quarterbacks, they can, there's the one setting things up. They got a lot of thinking to do, but they have outlets if they really need to get rid of the ball. So to me, that's the toughest position. And Billy went out there. He's out there playing, and he's watching and trying to, prepare for the routes, in, out, the way he's able to press people. Everybody was pointing out he's considered one of the more underrated dudes that was there. And of course, he decided to haunt the state of Alabama once more as he went out there and got an interception on Jalen Milroe on an out route. This is like the third time that Jalen Milroe's thrown an interception to an Oklahoma player on an out route this season, whereas three of them, fourth interception, 3 out routes, and only 2 of them really counted because 2 of them was in game and this one was in this drill. But hey, Billy was eyeballing him, and he was just watching him break off of that route, John, was so impressive. And he's got that breakaway speed to where he can always make up for situations. Like, I always think about how he was able to go across the field and get Luther Burden on that 4th down. It just sends chills down my body every time. I'm just like, yeah, he booked it to get there. And it felt like he did the exact same thing in that route when he was playing defense.
Yeah, he reminds me a little bit of an Antoine Winfield Jr. who played up at Minnesota. Coming out, I can't remember what draft class he was, but I was covering the Dallas Cowboys back then, and he was one of my favorite safeties in that class and really wanted him to land with the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, every single year there was a safety I wanted the Dallas Cowboys to draft that they did not. But he ends up at Tampa Bay, and he's had a really productive career, but kind of an undersized guy, but a really good athlete and a really good player making plays on the football. And that just kind of is what Billy Bowman reminds me of a little bit. He's going to fly under the radar a little because he's undersized, 5'9", a little bit more than 5'9", I think is what he came in, or maybe 5'10" and change is what he came in at his measurables. But great athlete, good speed, good coverability. And I think he made himself some money in Senior Bowl practices on Tuesday. Jim Knowles, I guess, shared some thoughts with Penn State players that Penn State released. Jay, you want to break those down and what he had to say to his new team?
Yeah, simply put, he kind of stood up there and he talked to them about Penn State. So as a kid, they had 3 channels and they always sat there and watched the Nittany Lions. And as he grew up, that was a dream. That was something he aspired, was to be a part of that team by either playing or coaching or something of that nature. And he 100% pointed out to the players there that he's from North Philly, not like the suburban kids are there. He's from North Philly where he had to ride the subway in order to go to school. And so he pointed out to them, this is home for him. This is where he's from. Growing up as a kid, he wanted to play at Penn State. He didn't make it there, but he was at Cornell. He coached at Cornell, so he's been in the area. And now, I guess you could say a dream come true for Jim Knowles has been the opportunity to get to Penn State and now be back home where he came from. And so I know Sooner fans are mad, feel like Oklahoma got played in this entire situation, but I'm going to be honest. I don't think the Penn State opportunity was even available when the first conversation started until it got out based upon whoever leaked it that Jim Knowles was looking to depart Ohio State. And the minute Penn State lost their coach, Tom Allen, in the night to Clemson, they probably picked up the phone and said, hey, what we need to do to get you to come back home. And at that point, that was what got him excited. He's from that area, from North Philly. So it makes sense. When you hear his voice, you're like, oh, yeah, he's definitely from Philly.
Final thing for us to touch on, Baker Mayfield got selected to the Pro Bowl to replace Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts going to be playing in the Super Bowl 59 here in a couple weeks. So it's the right one. Baker Mayfield was kind of snubbed, but actually you look at the quarterbacks that got selected, it's hard to argue against any of those other quarterbacks, but Mayfield had a wonderful season and is rightfully getting honored with a Pro Bowl selection.
Yeah, it's great. And he's one of the first Buccaneers to go to multiple Pro Bowls at quarterback. Like, it's not something that happens to my Buccaneers very often, which is really weird. We had Tom Brady there for a bit. But he's one of the very few because, truth be told, my Bucs have not produced, real quarterbacks. We had I love Trent Dilfer. He was a great guy, but he was just not that great of an NFL quarterback. Brad Johnson got us our first Super Bowl, which was awesome, but Brad was really not that good. He was throwing it to Keyshawn Johnson on a regular basis, and the defense ran it. And then from there, you had like the revolving door of quarterbacks. And now we get Baker Mayfield, which to me really embodies the heart, soul, and work ethic that I always saw out of Tampa Bay when Tony Dungy was there and everything. I am so glad that he continues to get recognized. He set records, personal records, as well as team records with his statistics. And so I think that now Baker has found the home to where he'll be able to continue to ascend up for the next few years that he's got left. And then, hopefully ride out in the sunset as a Buccaneer, retired Buccaneer.
What are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts against the Kansas City Chiefs, in the Super Bowl? Just your initial thoughts. We're not an NFL podcast. We're not Locked On Eagles, Locked On Chiefs. Make sure you go check out those shows. But we got thoughts on the Super Bowl. What do you think? And it's going to be a fun matchup. A lot of Sooners featured in this game.
Yeah, 8 Sooners total, 7 on active rosters as McKay Matower is still on the IR. Leads, college football. We have the most players in the NFL. I think it's the second or third year in a row. Yep. Basically, every time Kansas City goes to the Super Bowl, we got a lot of players in there, which is always a plus. But no, I think Jalen Hurts has the opportunity to prove to the naysayers and the doubters that he can be the reason why they win. And I totally understand the criticism of him. The team basically goes based upon how he plays. It's always about how his quarterback play is if he's needing to throw the ball. The good thing is having Saquon there running the ball, a Penn State nitty lion. He can run the ball. There's a good chance that Philly can find a way to keep the ball out of Kansas City's hands. So it's going to be a fun game. I'm excited about watching the Super Bowl. What's that in? Is that this weekend?
Like
Next weekend. Yeah, next weekend. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to watch that game and kind of see how it goes.
I think this is a better Eagles team, and it pains me to say that as a Dallas Cowboys fan. This is a better Eagles team than the one that the Chiefs played 2 years ago, and Jalen played a really good game in that Super Bowl. And it's just, again, it's Patrick Mahomes and it's the Chiefs. This seems like a better team, a team that's better set up to go and beat the Chiefs than the one did 2 years ago. This team can really run the football. It doesn't have to be all on Jalen Hurts, but Kellen Moore's got that thing humming offensively. They just put up 55 points in the NFC Championship game over the Washington Commanders. So it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a really good back and forth. Another one that just goes down to the wire. A lot of fourth quarter action. It's going to be very, very dramatic. It's going to be fun, man. I'm looking forward to watching it play out, seeing if Creed Humphrey can get another one, see if Samaje Perine can get his first Super Bowl ring, and if the Chiefs can make history and win a three-peat for the first time in Super Bowl history. I don't know. So many fun storylines. As a Dallas Cowboy fan, I do not want to see the Eagles win again. Or win again. They won one in the last decade. As a Sooners fan, it wouldn't hurt to see Jalen Hurts get his first ring either. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports on Twitter. Also, go check out his channel on YouTube, Unfair Sports, where he covers the Sooners and all of college football as well. Follow me at John9Williams. You can also read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. So go follow and check us out over there as well. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. Boomer.
Sooner.